Before we start programming our part, something we should do is mate the fixture components together. So let's turn the visibility off on each of those components. Now, we've got our vise, and our vise is floating in space. We've got our jaws, and they are actually floating in space as well. You'll see that kind of messes things up. It's not going to update correctly. So what we actually want to do, I'm going to Control Z to that a couple of times, put that in place. Let's go ahead and fix that in place. That's our single Kurt vise here. Let's go ahead and ground that. Make sure these components are ground. Oops, not the vise itself. We want to actually ground our jaws. That way they don't move, because they're in place. That's where they want to be. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mate this together. So I'll use constraint again. We'll use the mate. We're going to mate to the solid jaw for the assembly. Now we've got our mated component at the bottom of the jaw surface, and now we can actually just mate these together. And finally, we're going to mate flush the side of the jaw. Now that's in place. You're kind of wondering, okay, well, that's fine and all, but the vise carriage is in the wrong place. What is the operator on the floor going to think when we have a picture of this inside of the software? It's not going to be so great. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to right-click on the assembly itself, and we're going to turn on this option right here in the right-click menu called Flexible. Now what that does is anything that's movable within the actual assembly itself then becomes movable in your assembly that you have active. So that's pretty neat, because now what we can do is we can come in here, we can constrain that to the face, and that has become flexible to the assembly. So now we have our Op2 assembly completed. The flexible vise is turned on and assembled to the actual design intent of our setup. And we're ready to rock. We're actually ready to start setting this part up and programming it.